live.
We are live, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good evening, everybody. Before we start, just a reminder that we are recording this on this little device in the middle here. So, councillors, please speak as clearly as you can, and I've been told to say we all need to sit up straight.
Sit forward. Particularly when you're speaking.
Talk towards it as much as we can. People, general public, if you come up to ask a question, if you can just come and stand on the end of that table with that little round device, that should pick up the audio okay. Brilliant, okay. Change mine, we'll go with normal.
Yeah.
So, item number 1, questions and comments from public and councillors. Do we have any questions?
So Joyce has a question.
Joyce.
Right, I'm Joyce Shaw. I am very concerned that all the historic signs on our street are disappearing, and some of them you can hardly see anymore. Now, with this town of culture business coming up, wouldn't it be a good idea if we could do something about it? Now, I know somebody who's taken a photograph of every one of these signs which are disappearing, and also someone who could actually renew them or renovate them to the old stage. Now, look at Bath. They've done 60 recently, and it looks fantastic. Now, if we could, I think it's just something. I've said before, it's not always the big things, it's the little things that produce a society. And I think, I don't know whether I could have a word with Ian, and he's not sure about it, I don't think, but I think it's something as a committee and a council we should be pursuing.
Perfect. Thank you, Joyce. I think you mentioned the same thing last time, didn't you, from memory? Yes.
It didn't get me anywhere.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
As usual.
Fair enough. I think, are they Wiltshire Council property, Ian? Or are they our
I
property?
think maybe it depends which ones.
Yeah, they're all a bit of a mishmash.
You never know.
If somebody's, you say somebody's done an audit of them?
Sorry?
Has somebody done an audit of all the old historic signs?
No, someone has taken photographs of it.
Got photos of them,
and
okay.
rolled.
Right, fine, okay.
I've asked the Preservation Trust,
Yeah.
but they've been very iffy and here and there about it, so I'm asking you.
Fine. Feel free to send across the photos so we know where they all are.
Okay.
And then at least we've got sort of a catalogue of where they are. And then if we do go anywhere with the Town of Culture, I'm sure we can
That'd be a good start.
get an army of people with a bucket, if nothing else.
Thank you.
Cheers, Joyce. Thank you.
That's it for now.
That's it for now. Lovely. Brilliant. No other questions, comments from the public? Perfect. Okay. Fine. Item number 2 is apologies from councillors.
Yes, we've had apologies from Councillor Besant.
Brilliant. Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest from councillors? No. Lovely. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is to approve the minutes of the last full town council on the 6th of January. There's a copy with the agenda. People haven't seen them. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at them. Anybody have any comments, thoughts, anything they want to say on those? No? Okay, in which case is somebody happy to propose those, please? Andy, lovely, and a seconder. Katie, brilliant. All in favour of adopting those?
Thank you.
Everybody, lovely, thank you. Item number 5, matters arising. It says none, still none?
To my understanding, yeah.
Lovely. Item number 6, to note the minutes from the following meetings, which is Town Development on the 13th of January, Environment and Green Spaces from the 27th of January, both this year. I think we just note those, is that
Yeah.
right? Yep, those are all noted. Right, item number 7, Bradford Avon Fire Station proposed closure. So I know a lot of people have come to sort of talk about this and think about this. Before, I'm happy to give a bit of an introduction and then we can open it up to discussion among the councillors. I don't know if there's anybody who's come along who wants to speak on this item, particularly to the council. I'm happy for that to happen now. You don't have to, that's not a problem. If anybody wants to, I was going to offer it now. No, that's fine, that's fine. Perfect, okay, so as I'm sure most of the councillors are aware, Bradford Avon Fire Station is one of 8 fire stations across Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service that has gone to consultation on potentially being closed. So I know a few of us were at the consultation meeting in the other room last week and would have heard from the Chief Fire Officer and some of the Fire Authority councillors. Obviously, this is really, really worrying for us as a town. And I know I've spoken to some of the fire officers already, spoken with the Chief Fire Officer and the fire authority as well and try to get a bit more clarity on what their thinking is on this. But what I wanted to use this evening for really was to allow councillors to have their say on this, to have their thoughts aired on this, and to talk a little bit about what we might like to do as a town council to, if we are going to oppose it. I'm not presupposing anything, but if we are, what we would like to do to make that clear and obvious to people. So I'm very happy to open it to thoughts and comments from councillors on this one. Stunned silence, incredible. Fine. Go on, Kevin.
I think I'd feel a lot safer when the fire brigade here. And I think most people would.
Can't hear. Can't hear. What did you say?
You feel safe, I'm sorry.
Can't hear.
I would feel, and I'm sure a lot of people would feel, a lot safer if there was a fire brigade in town.
Sure, yeah.
Brilliant. Katie, your hand up.
Yeah, well, I was just going to add, I thought that the strength of feeling indicated from Bradwell Lane in terms of numbers present at that, although I went to the evening consultation, but I gathered there were similar numbers there the next day, is really powerful, and that people ask really, really good questions. So I think that's a real sign of how engaged people are in this town with the sort of consultation that's being run. So I think the more we can do to encourage them to respond, the better. And I think one thing that stood out for me, I'm sure people say all sorts of things, lots of things stand out, but that it's clear that, whilst obviously it would be great to see all 8 that proposed for closure remain open, that Bradford not only is the biggest, but was particularly cost effective, our fire station, in terms of what it's delivering and what it's achieving. And so I think that's a really important point to make in our response, so that if there's a chance of a reprieve, which is obviously what we want to aim for, I would have thought that that's really a powerful point for us to make.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katie. Anybody else? Sam, and then Andy.
So yeah, I want to echo those comments really. I thought the public engagement has been excellent from the point of view of how constructive people have been. They have not just opposed for the sake of opposing, they've really looked at the data, engaged, asked extremely thoughtful questions, and I think started a larger conversation about how we fund our public services and really ensure that we have what really matters to us. I think, there were certain bits of the data which I think were maybe slightly problematic, and I think listening to last week's consultation, the point about fire service availability at Bradford-on-Avon, and I think I did hear from the fire authority and the chief fire officer that there was acknowledgement that yes, it shouldn't be overly emphasised as a data point, and that actually, if you look across the last 5 years, the availability is much higher than the previous financial year for various reasons. I do think that we can oppose this strongly, and I think there's lots of reasons to, but we should also think about how our station might be saved. It was interesting to hear as well the willingness of people to fund their station, and the realization that it's a bit complicated, but the way that our fire service is funded is essentially by 3 methods. So the local precept, which is the biggest share, and you can see that as a line on the council tax bill, and that will be coming very soon. And there are the business rates, which come back to the fire service via Wiltshire Council. And then there is the central government element. Now, my understanding is that a lot of fire services, I'm not sure how many, but certainly a share of them have no central government funding whatsoever. And this is essentially the government's argument that this is going to decrease, and decrease it will by 20% over this multi-year funding period. So that means that although we are going to be paying more, and we are almost certainly going to be paying an extra £5 in the next 3 years, that does not really offset, it barely offsets the decrease in central government funding. And when you consider inflation and all sorts of cost pressures on the service, the squeeze is clear. And I'm not an expert, obviously, in terms of the Dorset Wiltshire Fire Rescue Services finances, but I think it's clear they have to probably cut something as it stands. We don't want it to be our station. But if truth comes and we're in the position where, as it stands, the funding is what it is from central government, and they're not going to back down, and I think it's unrealistic that they will, because this multi-year funding settlement is across the country. The positive of it is that it gives local authorities 3 years sort of sight on what their finances are, which is not what they've had in recent years. But they're not. I don't really believe that they're going to change this just for us. And if they did so, then they open themselves up to potentially lots of requests for funding. But where I believe there would be some scope, perhaps, is if you make a specific request. That could be via MP, it could be directly into the minister, and feeding this back through the consultation, that as local taxpayers, if we're going to pay essentially £15 extra, or £5 a year going up, we pay a little bit more and we get to keep our station, then that's arguably a price worth paying. And I think probably this goes for a lot of public services in the country. We are faced with difficult decisions. Financially, the country is not in a great state, all of us know that, and there are things that we will almost certainly have to let go of. We have to draw a line in the sand and say we are prepared to fight for this and pay for it. So I do believe personally that in our response we should express our support that if the government is not prepared to change their funding settlement, then we must support some additional flexibility as taxpayers to contribute. That's my view.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sam. Andy, you are next up.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to see a parliamentary question being asked by our MP, because I feel this is a generic issue. It's an issue that needs to be raised in Parliament. And I'd also like to see a parliamentary petition raised, so that not just our particular area, but everyone else is affected. We could sign that, and then that would trigger a parliamentary debate. So we just put your finger on it. It's about central government funding. That's the big issue. So you've got to try and change it and put it at a political level, a parliamentary level, not just a local level. So I think we should try to facilitate that process somehow.
Yeah, so I know that Brian Matthew, our local MP, does have an adjournment debate on fire station closures on Thursday. So he's going to be mentioning Bradford in Parliament on Thursday, which will be really useful for us and shine a good light on it among a wider debate about fire station closures. So I think we'll push on as many different doors as we can, whether it's ministers, Parliament, Town Council, everything.
Also, what about a local petition?
I think that the guys, you guys have got one going, haven't you? I've seen it on the poster. Yeah, so there's a local one that's on all the posters everywhere. But obviously what the fire authority are saying is fill in the consultation. So that's the main message for people as well. Alex.
I was just going to say, I mean, it isn't just the fire service. Over the years that this last 10 years with austerity and the whole, I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen public services cut. We have youth services cut, and we are one of the few towns that picked that piece up, and we have youth services. But mental health, social care, you name it, it's been cut to the bone. And as much as we want all those things, the government doesn't have that money. And I don't really know how this is exactly helping, except one thing is certainly when we were discussing the One Public Estates and the redevelopment of that whole area, it was very hopeful that there could be arrangements, because there's a lot of land there, the fire station. I don't think that you would have to move, but is there something that could be done with that land that doesn't lose us all of it? I know you use some of it for training, but is there some way? The land is a very valuable commodity, and a redevelopment of that site would be great for Bradford. Obviously, that's a long way down the road, but there's something about is there something that could be done that? And it was very difficult to get everybody to agree to even show up to the meetings when we were discussing that, because it's so difficult to ever give anything up. And we don't want to give up the fire service, but is there an element of it that could be traded somehow in?
Yeah, I know there was a question asked at the consultation event next door last week by a chap who I think was one of the local fire officers, basically asking the fire authority if they've looked at revenue raising as well as cuts. There wasn't a particularly convincing answer on that. So I think these are all legitimate questions that we can ask.
Isn't it, Jack?
Yeah.
If you just cut it, it's a it's a bit of one line, it's just one act. But if you actually try to root in how you can save it, but also generate something from part of that resource, then that might be more of an effort for them.
I think what I'd like to see us do as a town council is to not be NIMBY-ish about this and just say, well, we don't want it closed because we live here and we like it. I think we need to try and be as clear-eyed as possible in looking at the evidence-based reasoning as to why this station should stay open. And Sam's points that he's outlaid on the funding, I think, are really, really key. And I think also we need to be stressing the fact that, we would say this, but Bradford is really unique in the fact that we have the river right through the middle of town, we have bad flooding here, we get cut off. Also, a point that was raised at the consultation again last week that I hadn't thought of, there's lots of listed buildings here, there's lots of pokey side streets.
Burned down terribly only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we have lots of unique points that we can put forward and explain. So I'm sort of open to ideas from councillors about how we want to go about. I'm getting the feeling we want to oppose this, first of all. Does anybody feel differently? They're welcome to. No, fine. So I think that's absolutely fine. So I guess it's just thinking now about how we as a council want to make sure that we can oppose this with the maximum impact, and making sure that our voices are heard and that it carries some weight. So I'm very open to ideas about how we do that. If anybody's got any ideas now, I'm very happy to hear them. Katie?
Do we know whether there's any flexibility within the consultation for, as a town council, us to submit a view as a town council as opposed to the views of individuals that we might, as individually contribute, but that can we provide separately, or is there a separate stream of the consultation?
As far as I know, there isn't a separate stream, but I think obviously as individuals, we need to make sure we fill in the consultation. There's no harm in us putting in a submission that comes from the town council as well. But I think the other thing we need to do, and having been on the other end of this, I'm loath to do it, but we need to be lobbying all the people on the fire authority and emailing them with our clear objections as a town council. So I'm happy to coordinate that after this meeting and making sure that we've got a sort of coherent message that we can put to the fire authority and explain. And, it's a bad situation, but I don't think I'm being naive in thinking that of the 8, we've got by far the best case of staying open. I don't want to see any of them go, but our primary concern here is Bradford. So I think we need to make that really clear. Has anybody got anything else they'd like to say or add, or thoughts about how we want to attack this going forward? George?
Just a little thing to add that has more or less been covered is that I obviously want us to object as a town council, but I also, as well as being evidence-based in our objection, I want to make sure that we're a bit kind. I think in some places the dialogue on this issue has been quite hostile towards the authority, and I think we need to acknowledge that it's been subjected to a decade of cuts and God knows what else, that we really and truly, we should be constantly demanding better services, not only when it affects us. And I think in the spirit of that, we should make sure our objection is not too unfriendly.
Seems sensible. Sam?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. And I was, I was quite moved listening to Councillor Paul Oakley, who's the Vice Chair of the Fire Authority, and I think a long-standing chair before that. He's obviously has a strong emotional attachment to the Fire and Rescue Service, and he spoke very clearly about the situation. And our firefighters here today, they are more than aware of what has been a decade and a half, and possibly longer, of the cuts that you were describing, George. The numbers are really shocking, quite honestly, in terms of that. It is true, having looked into this matter, that the incidents of fires have decreased. They have decreased over the last 20 years, and but the crux of the matter is that in many ways, from what I can see, the complexity and the intensity of some of those incidents is going the other way. It's possibly going down to fewer but more, intense, more unpredictable events linked to climate change, particularly. And we know that our crew
Vape shops in Glasgow.
vape shops, yeah, electric bikes, lithium batteries, energy storage systems linked to solar farms. They're a huge fire risk. Potentially, this is the kind of technology of the future, which we in many ways need, but we're still getting to grips with it. So yeah, I completely concur with George's points that we should be understanding of the position that our fire authority has been put in, but really, yes, to make it an evidence-based objection. We know that we have a strong case. They openly admitted that of the 8 houses, like you said, Jack, if there were 7, it wouldn't include Bradford. So acknowledge that point, and I think reflect the views of many residents that if push comes to shove, we would consider paying more to keep our service, because for us it is an invaluable contribution to the town and keeping us safe, and what price can you put on that?
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, I think you touched on it. There's the key, if you like, movement away from fires, reduction in fires, is the increase in flooding. Bradford and Avon, in terms of giving evidence base, has been subjected to at least 2 exceptional flood, and it's going to get worse. And we rely on the fire brigade to ensure that we deal with that emergency. So I think I don't think there's any let up in terms of the workload for firefighters. It's just the role is going to change slightly.
Yeah, and so Jack, and just add on that point, my understanding is that fire services do not really get specific funding for flooding, which is astonishing. But they do, and again, coming back to this resilience and the increasingly unpredictable nature of climatic events, this is absolutely crucial. And we could provoke a wider conversation about how also fire rescue services across the country are better resourced and able to adapt to these changing circumstances. I mean, that has to be guided by central government, of course, but I think that we can make a point in our letter that at the moment they're clearly not being equipped for what they have to do.
Absolutely. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say on this for the moment? No. Okay, so I think going forward, we're really clear that we're going to oppose this. I don't know if we want to just vote on a motion as well while we're here now to say we do that. We can do that in a second. But I think we need to think about how we can best use our voice. So at the moment, I'm thinking we should probably do an open letter as well as respond to the consultation that we can all put our name to, outlining a lot of the points that we've heard this evening, as well as other bits and pieces. And then I think we need to make sure that we publicise that as widely as we can through our own channels. We can go to the press, make sure they've got sight of it, and share it as well with all the members of the fire authority, and just kick up enough of a fuss to make people aware of all these things. I think the other thing we've got sort of a duty to do as well, and to be fair to our firefighters in the town, they've already picked the ball up with this one, is we need to get the word out among our residents here as well and make sure that they're filling in the consultation. So I think we need to make sure that we've got links going out on our channels online, but also, if we haven't already, make sure we've got the consultation posters up in our notice boards as well. Ian, is that okay? Yeah. And just wherever we can to try and make sure people are aware of it and push it forward. So if people are happy with that sort of approach, let me know. If people have more things they'd like to do, they think of over the coming days, let me know, and we can try and coordinate even more. But I'm happy to have a first stab at an open letter, share it with councillors, and we can edit and then get it out into the public.
Are we communicating with social media?
As a council? Yeah, we absolutely. Through all of our channels, social media, email, newsletter, notice boards, send it to the press, every avenue we've got available to us. We can work very closely with our local MP, that's easy, so we can do that. We can publicise the consultation. And I think sort of the final thing I would say as well to the firefighters that are in the town, and I know we've got FBU people here, if there's anything we can do to help, let us know, because if there's other things that come up, Feel free to email me or any of the councillors and let us know if you've got any thoughts on more we can do or any new information comes to light. And I think we'd all be happy to engage with that and see what we can do. It's open until it's the middle of May, the consultation? Yeah, perfect, 15th of May. So we've got a couple of months still, which is good. So if people are happy, I think we ought to just vote on a motion as well to say that we oppose it. So I've scribbled something, people can edit it, and you can tell me if this works as a motion, Sarah. So I've just got Bradford-on-Avon Town Council opposes the closure of Bradford-on-Avon Fire Station and will work with the fire authority, local firefighters and all stakeholders to find a solution which avoids any closure. The council will write an open letter laying out their objections. Is that okay?
I think that would work.
Is that okay? Anything anyone wants to add or take out?
Do you want to say anything about what makes Bradford different from other places?
So-
But you can put that in the letter.
It'll
Not
definitely go in the
motion.
letter.
Not the
That's
motion.
the overall headline thing.
We could, given its unique,
Just something that makes it stand out, rather than just.
yeah, I don't want to use the word problems, but
Given the cost effectiveness of our service.
unique benefits.
And the benefits to the town that it experiences additional.
I think we need to keep it quite.
Yeah, okay. So I've got Bradford-on-Avon Town Council opposes the closure of Bradford-on-Avon Fire Station, given its unique benefits to the town, and will work with the fire authority, local firefighters, all stakeholders to find a solution which avoids any closure. The council will write an open letter laying out their objections. So I'm very happy to propose that if somebody is happy to second it. Lovely. Sam or Alex, that's fine. All those in favour?
All those in favour? Lovely.
Everybody. Lovely. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. If anybody has any more thoughts in the coming days, let us know and I will start drafting that tomorrow and I will share it with councillors and we can edit away as we go.
That's great.
Perfect. Okay. Yes, Andrew, what's your, yes.
Yes, I apologise for arriving a few minutes late. I had great trouble. I emailed a bit earlier saying that I wouldn't mind, I'd like to make a short statement and ask some questions on one or two items in the agenda. If I had been on time, I would have suggested that I do it when those items came up, and it would be 6, 8, and I think those are the ones.
6, 8 and...
I think it's just 6
Okay.
and 8.
What's your question on 8, Andrew?
The question, my interest in the question on 6, because the question on 9 relates to the 2-minute statement. I can ask you to offer me the discretion to give it now.
We've missed the vote really, could we?
The problem is you have arrived late. So
Yes.
I think
What-
we need
so
to
you've got a-
start at 8.
so
I
you've
think
got a-
it
you've
might
got a-
have to be it for tonight.
you've got a question on 6.
The question on 6.
How short is it?
It's really short.
Go on then, let's hear it.
And it's, when do you expect to have the minutes of the Resources Committee of 3rd of March uploaded? I was surprised not to see them here.
Probably too quick given the agenda went out on Thursday, isn't it? So I presume in the next... It'll come to the next full council to note, I presume?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll go up once we've okayed them.
There we go. Lovely. And then what's the deal with 8, Andrew? Sorry, you've got a question on 8.
A question on 8, and then I've got the 2-minute statement. The question relates, links item 8, which is your update, Chair, to what I was hoping to ask about and say. If you can possibly allow me 2 minutes.
Go on then, I'll start your timer.
May I ask the question first, and then I'll be able to do the 2-minute statement?
What's your question?
The question is the town council going to be producing a revised climate and ecological emergency strategy anytime soon, which is actually a question I put to the Resources Committee. I'm looking for written answers, so if you don't want to answer it now, that would be...
Fine. Yeah, feel free to email it. I can't remember when our last one was done. I'm going to look at Alex. Do you know when our last one was? 2020. Okay. It's probably due a bit of an update, but yeah, email in.
I was going to ask if Councillor Simmons, as Chair of the Resources Committee, has any views on when I might be able to get the answers to the questions that I put to that committee, and I put them in writing. And as he's aware, I put them in writing, and I think that committee or the Chair, George, agreed to supply written answers in time.
I'm sure they're on their way. They're on their way. There we go. Okay, what's your, go on, do your 2-minute statement, Andrew. I'll start my timer.
Yes, the town climate and ecological emergency strategy was for 2020 to 25, published in December 2020, declared climate emergency in 2019, and an ecological emergency 2020. I'm going to suggest that you have some options. Town council officers and civil servants do this lovely three-option trick, which is not a bad thing to do. They produce three options, and then they know that the middle one or one of them is the one they like best, and another one's do nothing, and the other three extremely expensive. But I thought it would be good, since you're not taking.
Oh yeah, I said at the start when we started at 7 that if you stand there, we'll. You don't need
You
to kneel.
don't need to kneel
Yes.
down.
The time is still going. I'll crack on.
No.
I'll need a few seconds to cover that. I thought I'd put options to you, just to get your minds thinking. The first option A, I'm calling A, would be to do nothing. You had a strategy for 2020 to 25, and now you haven't. And then you don't have to produce a new one. Option B, you could roll that one over, because most of the actions in it, and if you turn over, if your members turn the page, they'll see a summary of the main actions for those 5 years. Perhaps not many of them will be complete. Option C would be to withdraw the climate emergency declaration for whatever reason. You might say it's not relevant, you don't like it anymore. Other reasons, it's unrealistic, or you're more aligned with perhaps the right-wing parties that deny that this sort of action is appropriate. And then you wouldn't have to do a climate emergency strategy. Option D, even more so, you save more money, withdraw both climate and the ecological emergency declarations, and then you wouldn't have to have a strategy. Option E, you could just roll that, the 2020-25 one over for now, but in-house, you could write a strategy, a couple of accountants to get together, a couple of officers, and come up with a strategy update based on the previous one or completely new, who knows. And option F would be a full-on new climate and ecological emergency strategy, engage with a specialist consultant perhaps, and get stakeholders involved, stakeholder groups, members of the public, the Wiltshire Council, which has a huge amount of expertise, perhaps Baines and other neighbouring councils, and produce a new strategy and do it. Perhaps you might want to produce a delivery plan. So unlike the civil servants who would say, oh, choose the middle of the three options, I would say option F would be the ideal option, given your Liberal Democrat principles and policies and the ideals of Ideal Bradford.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
One or two of these options would be in danger of being described as green ones.
No, that's fine. So, thank you. Lovely. Thank you, Andrew. We've all got a copy of that, so thank you for putting it together, and we'll have a look at it. Thank you very much. Okay, item 8, Chair's update, which is, I have written here, bear with me. So a written version of this will go out with the minutes. I didn't get it in time for the agenda, sorry. So yeah, as we've heard already, I attended the fire station briefing with Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service last Tuesday. And thanks for being on maternity leave as well. I also got to go Wednesday morning, so I went twice. I was able to put a question to the Chief Fire Officer on the timeline of the publication of the consultation responses. So they are going to be coming into the public realm before they make their decision. I understand it won't be very long before they make their decision, but we will at least get a chance to see all the consultation responses, or probably just top-line data, but we'll see something. I also wanted to make sure they've taken into account Bradford's unique situation with regards to flooding. I was given assurances they had. I have to take them on their word. It was also really good, as we've mentioned already, just to see so many Bradford residents there, coming out, listening to the questions, engaging really thoughtfully with it. And I had separate conversations afterwards with some of the panel, and I think they were all impressed and slightly taken aback by the level of engagement with Bradford and the fact that it wasn't opposition for opposition's sake. I think people understood that it was well thought through. I've also had a couple of opportunities to make the case for the fire station on Radio Wiltshire, and I'll be doing that again before the consultation closes. And then on other matters, just sort of while we mentioned flooding with the fire station, I want to highlight that our flooding working group is meeting tomorrow to look at how we can pursue those environment agency options that were put before us at a previous full council meeting. So just a reminder, that was One of the options was basically the minimum option, which is property-based resilience, and the next option was basically flood defences, movable flood defences like barriers and inflatable things, as well as natural flood management and sort of nature-based solutions. We're going to look at how we can get going on those with the Environment Agency. They're aware that our thoughts haven't changed as a council. As ever, I thought I'd just give a very brief update on the pedestrian bridge and the traffic scheme as well. So this was mentioned at our sustainable travel meeting the other week, but our outline business case for the bridge has been commissioned with funding from Active Travel England. That's going to be completed in the autumn, and that is kind of the sort of final building block in getting things ready to be in a position to bid for funding. So it's really key stage. So when that comes forward, I'll be looking at that closely with all the other councillors, and I'm sure the town will as well. So that's quite exciting. On the traffic project, the feasibility study for a potential bus gate or solution on Silver Street has been commissioned by Wiltshire Council. They say to expect the results early summer, so we will chase on that. We're having regular meetings with Wiltshire Council Highways to keep updated. Complete change of tack again, just to flag that we've also tweaked our rules around how we use our cemetery in the town. So this is after we had a letter in from family of someone who was recently buried there, and we've now adjusted our guidelines to apply the discount for Bradford-on-Avon residents to those who are living in Bradford before they then went into care. So there's no requirement for them to have any family members in Bradford, but to get that discount, if they were living in Bradford and then they went into care, they would count as a Bradford resident, basically. So they'd be eligible for that discount. That's just a tweak in our guidelines. And then the other event that I attended was the pancake race in Victory Field. Really, really pleased. We had sort of about 100 children there from Westview and Shambles Nursery, which was really exciting. Lots and lots of people watching on, far more than I can remember previous years. I think it being in half term probably helped. I think it's in half term again next year. So it'd be really nice, I think, if we could maybe have a sort of open children's race where people could rock up on the day, pay a couple of quid and register and have a bit of a race. I know from speaking to Katie that she's already thinking about that anyway, so that'd be really good. And I think that was all I had on my list. I've emailed that to you already. Perfect. So yeah, that'll go out in the minutes as a written version. Any comments or questions or anything in there? Andy? Yes. So there is a steering group meeting next week, which is going to start looking at the next stage of the process, which is around site allocation. And then the topic group that I'm on is also meeting next week. I suspect the others are.
This Thursday.
Oh, it's this Thursday. Sorry, I've got my weeks muddled up.
When's
This
the
one.
steering group meeting?
Let me have a
I
look.
don't remember.
I've seen an email. I haven't got it. I'm not on the Wi-Fi.
Some of those emails are awful confusing.
Feed that back. Feed that back.
I have to say, because, yeah.
Fine. Is it
I
this
don't know what
Thursday?
next
I can
week.
tell
I
you.
thought it was enough having one this week.
I think it is this week. I'm going to go. Let me have a look. Wait,
There's
wait.
definitely one this week,
Oh, it is this week. There you go.
in the evening, but that's not a steering group, that's a
Fine. A topic one for your topic group. Fine.
topic group on songs. And I thought that was, isn't that the one that's doing about the,
The topic group's going to be looking at site allocation.
so I thought that was this Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't think
It
there's
is this
anything next
Oh,
week.
fine. I may have got my dates wrong. I've got nothing for next week. It is this week.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Any other thoughts from there? Brilliant. Okay. So item number 9, St Margaret's Hall. Update from Deputy Town Clerk. I understand Chris is ill, but if you can give us a brief update, Ian, on where we are with it.
It's falling a little behind schedule. There's a bit of lag on some of the materials that need to be ordered. So just wait for an updated end date.
Great. Okay. Brilliant. As soon as we got that.
Looking for something on the website, somebody to volunteer to do something with it, contractors.
What?
Some contractors, something about St Margaret's Hall, you're contracting or something about the flooring.
Not much, no.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Obviously a bit annoying, it's behind schedule. If you could, or Chris, could just let us know when we've got a new rough date, that would be great. And I think we should probably do a little public update when we're able to maybe take some photos of progress. Perfect. Any comments, questions, thoughts?
Can I just
Yes.
mention, because When's the next full council?
June.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
the-
no,
it's the-
annual-
it's the-
annual
it's the May
meeting.
one, the
Anyway,
annual
I
one.
just wanted to, just to say that we've got 40 French twinners from Soumy-sur-Loire showing up in, towards the end of April, between the 17th and 22nd. So I just think that's an
That's
amazing
great.
large number. We've purloined quite a few people into being hosts because two of them have been hosted. If anybody wants to host a family of 4, I'd be very glad to hear it.
I've got no room. Brilliant. Yes, Alex,
I
thank
just
you.
think it's a town thing.
Absolutely. And
We'll have some events and we'll be inviting mayors, but just.
Yeah, let us all know what you're up to with the events, because it'd be nice to go to some. Brilliant. Okay. Item 10 is our bid for the Town of Culture. So I've got Katie, you giving an update on this one?
Yes, so you may be aware there's been a long-standing City of Culture competition, and the government's just created a new Town of Culture competition. So at the end of January, a small working party of councillors got together to discuss the possibility of us entering Bradford. We qualify within the small town category, which is towns of under 20,000 people. The competition is looking to see how towns have contributed to the national story. So as councillors, we have lots of ideas, particularly thinking of our industrial history and our modern engineering technological companies and our strength in the performing arts, our environmentalism, so many things, but we wanted to know what other people thought as well. So time's very short because the initial bid has to be in at the end of March. So we made an initial approach to a small sample range of organisations just to check our thinking and the likely commitment from key bodies that we couldn't really go ahead without, such as St Lawrence School, the Wiltshire Music Centre, the Aidenworks Project and the Preservation Trust. We're delighted that they have all agreed they're keen to be involved, and so are some others as well. That's all good. Nobody's really said no to us. We've also set up a survey which is still open to everybody to get ideas in, and we're really keen to have those. And we wanted to see which themes appealed to people, so we put quite a long list in the survey to see what people thought would be suitable for our bid to highlight. We're also asking people for ideas of what needs within the town the Year of Culture could help address, as well as the signs. And hopefully we do the signs sooner than the Year of Culture, which wouldn't be till 2028.
The town band.
Yeah. Overwhelmingly, there's support for Bradford entering, a real sense of excitement, which is great. The theme that is definitely stand out most popular is our industrial heritage. And we're keen to therefore highlight that as well as the modern day industry. Music, performing arts, the environment are important as well. And people would look to a Year of Culture in particular to improve opportunities for young people locally and to develop a more tangible way to celebrate our past and inspire our future. So if you come to the survey in the news section of the Town Council website, and there's going to be a bit more information on social media in the next few days. One idea we've had suggested to us, and we were really thrilled by this idea, is that we seek to make a link with Bradford, Yorkshire. They were City of Culture 2025, and of course our whole industry moved to Yorkshire, Bradford, Yorkshire. So it might be nice if they returned the favour and helped us out with our bid, and perhaps we can set up a sort of partnership and engagement that would run through the preparation and the Year of Culture itself, should we be incredibly lucky to win it. So the process is that we have to put the initial expression of interest in by the end of March. We're drawing all the ideas coming in from the survey that people are filling in. A small number of lucky towns, it would be wonderful if we were one of them, will be shortlisted and given £60,000 to develop their full bid, which would have to be in by the autumn. At that point, we'd obviously engage in a much more sort of deepened way with many organisations and individuals, social clubs, etc., across the town, because we want everyone to feel involved. And we'd also, if we got that 60,000, use it on projects that would bring benefit within themselves as well as helping develop the bid, so that if we didn't get any further, at least that money would have been really usefully spent. So that's kind of where we're to. And yeah, please consider it if you haven't already.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katie. I'm very supportive of this. I think it's a really, really good idea. Go on, Joyce, you go first.
It's just that in the March Bath Life, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but there's an amazing article all about Bradford-on-Avon. There are about 12 pages and it's very worthwhile reading. Tells you all about the town, how wonderful it is, etc., etc., etc. Great article.
Oh, nice, lovely. I'm sure we'll have a look. Great.
I should say I'm grateful to Alex and Kate and Kevin, who in particular have been having work on this.
Yeah, thank you all. Anybody else, any thoughts, comments, ideas around this item? No. Okay. In which case, I don't think we need to vote or anything. It's just a note we're carrying on with it. It'd be amazing if we could get the 60k, wouldn't it? That would be a good first step. I know some other towns, Devizes are bidding for it, and Horsham, Amesbury,
Probably most of the
everywhere.
towns in the country.
But it's good. We've got a good as chance as any. So thank you for taking that on, Katie, and thanks to the councillors that engaged with it as well.
Can I just
Yes.
say, reading it through today, it's
Oh, sorry. Can I,
Sorry, the
the
owl
sound
doesn't
thing on.
allow for chatting, I'm afraid. So
reading it through today as it stands, it's already put some pretty brilliant ideas together to help describe where we're at. So I think, although initially we're thinking, oh, but what's the point? Because we're so unlikely. You know, we're never going to win it if we don't put it in, but I think it's looking really good and it's got some really combination of some really interesting ideas that I think will work.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good ideas coming in.
Don't forget
Brilliant.
Secret Gardens, you didn't mention.
Ah, sorry.
They've been going now nearly 50 years.
So you'll
I
see
suppose
a
it's a
wonderful.
We just highlight the environment within the bid, so we could build in references.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Sorry, we did highlight the natural environment as well within the bids, and could build in.
It's a different thing.
Yes, what I'm saying is because we mentioned the environment, we could also build in secret
Yeah.
gardens. There's so many things that we were trying to refer to, and we've got a 400 word limit on each section. So
I've not seen any of it, I'm afraid.
No, but it's not being, it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
government website.
We're working on it, Annette.
It hasn't been seen. Yeah, I filled it in. It's something that came through.
right. Okay.
enough. Yeah, let's move on.
Brilliant. Any more comments or questions from councillors on that one before we move on? No. Lovely. Okay. Thank you, Katie, and everybody involved with that. Item number 11 is amenity building and public toilet loan report for decision. I've
Chair,
got
is there a written report for this one, please?
yes. Item 11. I think so. I've got it here somewhere. Is it on the? I've got it on my laptop. Oh, okay. Well, we'll make.
No, it's not on the website.
No. Okay. Fine. But we can put it up presumably.
Well, it can be on the minutes.
It'll be on the minutes. Yeah. Perfect.
I would like to comment on this one, but with no report, I don't know what comments to make on what the material is, because there's no
Okay.
material.
Fine. Noted. Not a problem.
Maybe it might be possible to comment when I need what,
Um,
when we, what the.
I will use my discretion. Ian, are you happy to introduce this one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got to the point now where the project for the pavilion, the amenity building and the public toilet is split into two phases. So, excuse me, we hope to progress with phase one, which is the building of the amenity school and public toilet in Victory Field, whilst phase two carries on with the business case and looking for the funding streams of how we're going to deliver that in the future. So to enable us to afford this, we have to apply for a loan from the Public Works Loan Board, which we made now to in the budget for last year, with the idea that we make the application later on in next year, following a procurement exercise, we know the exact costs. So when we got to the position at the end of last year, the estimator was estimating the cost of about 675,000, I think it was. Instead of revised costing, looking at doing it this year, it takes a not some inflation off. He's thinking it's about £620,000. So to allow us to apply for the loan, we've had to do some public engagement and consultation, which is listed in the report, through the residents panel, and we also had an open survey on the website, which overall we received 338 responses, 136 were in the negative, 29 were in the middle, and 123 in the positive to proceed. And that was with the question, would you prepare to proceed with the cost of the building and then need to take a loan to get on the council tax? So this report basically gives us the resolution the ministry requires for us to make a loan, and it's very prescriptive. So as it's
Fine.
set up.
So just to be clear on it, so at the moment, obviously, it says 620. Presumably, we're not going to apply for that loan until we get our tender in and a quote in. How does that work? Yeah.
I think we make a tentative loan on
Right.
620,
Yeah,
and then when we know the actual figure, then we go into the actual.
fine. So they allow you sort of flexibility. If it comes in a bit lower, we can drop. Okay.
Yeah, and the figure includes the cost of the build, allowance for inflation at the present time, and all the fees associated with getting to that point, because obviously we've got architects, QS fees, and project management fees.
So that gets us to putting the key in the door and it's running. Okay. Okay. Comments, thoughts, questions from councillors on this one? Anybody?
I think we've discussed this quite fully before, and
Yeah.
I think provision of robust public toilets down near the country park is absolutely a must. And I think I haven't got any different opinion than last
No,
time.
fair enough. No, I would agree. So this is. Oh, go on, Kevin.
So the only thing I will say, I would like it to go out to local tenders.
You advertise across the board, yeah?
Yes, yeah. Give the people the chance,
Absolutely.
the town or local, to have a go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be really good. Go on then, Joyce, if it's brief.
I'm a little concerned about vandalism in that situation. It's a bit tucked away, and you can see what's been happening in Trowbridge Park. Twice their toilets have been vandalised recently. And I thought a better place would be tacked onto the new pavilion, the cricket pavilion. Why not that?
Yeah, we've covered this before about
Did you?
well, yeah, at the last meeting. But I take your point on vandalism. I think it's one of those things where you're never
I
going.
don't think they're needed in the park.
Yeah, we're never going to stop it. But I haven't
Place.
seen too much vandalism of other public toilets. I don't think.
Except for the Canals and Rivers Trust one.
Well,
They
yeah,
were so badly vandalised them after they did them that they
ripped them all out. Exactly. So as far as
It
I'm
does happen, but we have to make sure they're robust, and they will have to be locked after hours.
yeah, it shouldn't
So
stop us doing
We
things.
have to have a strategy for minimising that. That's the only way we can deal with it.
Yeah, Katie.
I wasn't sure whether we we're going to, Joyce's point about could they be added to the pavilion, it's because the planning commission
sorry.
won't allow us to extend beyond the existing footprint, so if we included them within the building on the current site, then we wouldn't have the scope for what we want to do within that building, which needs more changing facilities, now we've got more girls using it, and so on and so forth.
And it's got the current plans for the amenity building have a changing places public toilet in there, which are for sort of paraplegics and people to be able to be winched. And it's a big room. They need a lot of room. So that's our aim. So I think that's a good one. So
They're going to be toilets that you don't get locked in.
let's hope not. That's not the plan. Okay, so as I understand it, Ian, you're just stretching.
No, I'm just going to say.
Go for it. Sorry, I thought you were stretching.
I used to manage all the historic parks in Bristol, and they all had toilets. And one of the issues there was obsolescence of the actual design of the toilet. And you ended up sort of having to do a complete refit rather than be able to just order in the existing parts. Is that going to be an issue here? Or?
I hope not. I think we've had that issue before, haven't we, Ian, with other ones. So I think as part of the tender process, we need to be clear with the people that are bidding for it that we want to make sure this is something that the parts can be replaced, as opposed to like a whole unit.
Yeah, we're not buying units this time.
No.
Otherwise, it's extremely expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's where we've been stung with the ones in St Margaret's,
And also,
basically.
if you get universal parts, rather than having to rely on some company that's got you over a barrel, that would save a lot of money.
Perfect. No, I agree. So is it brief?
Which has Joyce had? Is it?
Yeah, no, I did ask Joyce that. Is it brief?
Oh, yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
Are you asking a question or making a statement, Andrew?
A couple of questions, if you may.
Make them very short.
Thank you. Is there heating in the building? Changing places, do they need?
Oh, sorry, will there be heating in that? I think so. It's in the plans. Yep.
I was looking for it on the plans. I think that the pavilion had heat pumps. I couldn't see any on the amenity block. Another one was, I'm not sure what you decided today, because are you still going by the schedule that the decision to approve making the loan will be at the May council meeting?
So this,
And what's the decision to
So this is a decision that needs to be made to apply for the Public Works Loan Board alone, is that correct? Yeah. So the wording of this, which I'll read out in a second, is quite specific. And it's about making sure that when an officer goes and investigates the loan and fills in the paperwork, they have the correct authority to do that. Is that right? Yeah. So that's what we are granting or not granting tonight.
So that's that scribble. And then is it still scheduled for the main meeting to be formally approved and make it the loan? Decide on that.
No, it's not.
No, this is what this is.
It was in the previous minute, it was going to be at the main meeting.
I don't think we've ever done it for the May meeting.
Because we don't do hardly anything in the May.
No, May is just, yeah, a bit of
It's a
handover.
May
Yeah.
meeting.
No, fine. But that's what this is. So I'll read, thank you, Andrew. Right, I'll read this out and then, sorry?
I don't quite understand whether this is the approval to the officers.
This is the approval for the officers to engage with the Public Works Loan Board to investigate exactly how much loan we will need and have the authority to then go and do that. So if I read out what we've got written down here, which is resolve to seek the approval of the Secretary of State for the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government to apply for a Public Works Loan Board loan of £620,000 over the borrowing term of 50 years for the purpose of building an amenity building and public toilet in Victory Fields, Bradford-on-Avon. The annual loan repayments will come to around £50,000. It is not intended to increase the council tax precept for the purpose of the loan repayments. So that's the wording on there. The only thing I would say, Ian, is it says it's not intended to increase the council tax precept for the purpose of the loan repayments. We have for last year / this year.
We have, so we're not going to do it again. This is
Fine.
the timing process, because we'll be applying in next year.
At that point, we don't. Yeah.
Council tax up in 27, 28.
Fine. Okay. Fine. Can we add in that? Can we add it? So it says, it is not intended to increase the council tax from 27, 28, or however that wording works.
Yeah.
For the purpose of repaying.
For the purpose of paying the loan. Yeah. No, don't worry.
We might say-
I'll leave us wiggle room there. No, I'll leave that. Don't worry. So it's not intended to increase the council tax precept from 27, 28 onwards for the purpose of the loan repayments. It's 27, 28, isn't it? Yeah. Perfect. Okay. That's the recommendation from the officers. So is anybody happy to propose that? Please. Chris, lovely. Do we have a seconder? Lovely. Andy, and all of those in favour? Everybody, lovely. Thank you very much. Item 12 is to vote to go into confidential business, I'm afraid. So I'm happy to propose that. Katie will second it. All of those in favour? Lovely, brilliant. We've got to go into confidential business, I'm afraid. But thank you so much for coming along this evening and engaging. If you have further questions, please get in touch with us. Thank you.